So welcome back to the Boro Breakdown podcast. We are live on the YouTube stream. But if you listen to us on the podcast apps, welcome. I also say thank you. We have hit 100 reviews on Apple Podcasts, so I really do appreciate them. I haven't got them up in front of me, so I'll read them out on the next podcast. But thank you very much for everyone reviewing us. It was a really nice Christmas present for us all. But also, if you're not following us on Spotify or on the podcast apps, do give us a follow. And if you're not subscribed to the YouTube channel, do press the subscribe button if you're watching us live. It just takes 2 seconds. It's right in front of you. But let's chat about the Middlesbrough Football Club. And well, humiliating defeat at Deepdale, 3-0. Obviously, it's all 3 goals coming in the second half. And an injury from Jonny Howson capped off a humiliating defeat a night at Deepdale. Guys, a miserable night, Dana. What went wrong tonight?
I mean, that's a loaded question with a lot of answers. I think our game plan from the beginning, I was checking the long balls and our accuracy was terrible throughout the whole of the game. I think we had the same amount actually. We had 68 long balls. I'm just going to pull it up here on the stats. Same as Preston. We only 28% of them were accurate compared to their 49, and as well as that, we did seem to keep hitting them on the counter attack, but our play in the final third was absolutely awful. 2 accurate crosses out of a total of 23 and 26, sorry, so that's worse. And I think, usually we talk about Boro's problems in the final third, but they really, really showed today. And defensive lapses in concentration, we seem to really miss Dykesdale at the moment. And yeah, 3 really, really poor goals. And all of those stats that I said in the preview, well, the Boro Breakdown curse is back apparently because, what happened to Preston's woeful home form? What happened to Preston being the second worst defence in the league? I think they had 1 win against us in the last 16 appearances or something like that I was reading before the game. I said on the podcast that it's an open goal for Boro. Well, we ballooned the ball over the crossbar with that awful, awful game today, and we got exactly what we deserved, which again was nothing.
And his curses are back. But as Dan has mentioned there, Middlesbrough's attacking display kind of showed like the weaknesses that we have.
Yeah.
But do you think it was an off night tonight in terms of like the whole performance was bad? Or do you think this type of defeat's been coming because we've only really been having 2 or 3 shots on target per game over the last 6 or 7 games?
I think the defeat was probably coming. I think it's not harsh to say that that we got beat 3-0. I think we deserved it in the end. I think obviously part of it came down to us kind of losing our heads a bit at the end of the last 15 to 20 minutes. Were just a joke, really. It was precedent. We're all over us. And obviously after we went down 1-0 at first, we were trying to gamble and push men forward in search of the equaliser and see what led to the second goal. Really, we got caught open a lot of times and probably could have been a lot worse than 3-0. So I think the defeat was always been coming, and if you don't take your chances and sounds like Michael on, if you don't take your chances and your opponents do, then it's going to end up that way. But we've got to sort it out up front. I'm not still too worried actually about the defence. I know it was a 3-0 defeat, but I'm not overly worried. Obviously, I think things will improve when Dykesdale returns. But yeah, the creativity is just terrible. It's just, and Maddo was alluding to it right at the end of the match. He was saying it's just hopeful balls in the box. There's no kind of plan to it. It's just like, right, we'll get hold of it and we'll just knock it in. And then it's unadventurous and uninspiring, really. The strikers don't want to gamble. It's not their type of game. They're not overly strong, particularly tall players anyway. And there's just a lack of movement. The only player that really shows movement in sort of the final third is Duncan Watmore. And when he does, he doesn't seem to receive it. There's a number of times he kind of asks for it, like a threaded through ball, and no one gives it to him. So, yeah, we've really got to work on that. And I think if we're wanting to stick with a 4-3-3, which I feel like we might have to because of the lack of central defenders, to play 3-5-2, then we're going to have to try and be more narrow with it and try and work it through the intricate areas rather than playing a 4-3-3 and essentially just filtering everyone out wide and then having one person in the box. It just doesn't seem to work. So
Yeah, it didn't work tonight either. Didn't work at all. I think when we said on the preview podcast, or on our last podcast, when I mentioned playing with inverted wingers, maybe bringing Robertson at the side and playing what more on the other side and try to thread the strikers through, because we've said the strikers aren't gambling in the box. I feel like our strike force is like that type of people that put a fiver on red and a fiver on black, and then zero drop on the roulette wheel. So it's like, that's exactly what we're like. We just don't tend to gamble for anything going forwards, and I think when you don't gamble and you don't the chances or don't create anything, you deserve to get beaten. I think we thoroughly deserve to get beaten. I have no complaints at all, and it's not the end of the world at all about that we're getting beat tonight. But I think what we're starting to show now is the form what I thought we would at the start of the season, where we're fairly inconsistent and would be a mid-table side. But it's not, like I mentioned there, it's not the end of the world. But 2 shots on target tonight, Dana. Creativity, we've just been alluding to it there. We're just not creating the chance. The crosses into the box, like obviously you mentioned there, 2 out of the 23 were accurate. Is it time we kind of sacrificed this defensive solidity, which we've been trying to show in the last few games, obviously Barton night, and then maybe look to bring in Patrick Robertson now? Is it time for him to actually come into the team and become more creative and sacrifice the defensive stability that we have?
Well, we need to find that balance somehow. I know Neil Warnock was mentioning it in his pre-match press conference that he has 90% of what most managers have. It's just that little bit, that 10% that we need to bring to the table, and it's just about striking that balance. If that means that we take away a little bit of that defensive solidity by putting Patrick Robertson in the team, for example, then so be it. I know that he said about Britt and Akpom playing together and how he doesn't feel as though they're suited together because they're too similar. I get what he means, but I also slightly disagree with him, because I feel like when you play Akpom, you need to play him off somebody.
Yeah, you were saying that. A lot of the Pulp fans were saying that, weren't you, about him being part of it too, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. That's what they were saying.
I disagree that they're very similar either.
Yeah. Well, yeah, go on, say what you think about that, Jonny.
I was gonna disagree. I don't think they are similar strikers. Britt Sombolonga is that poacher who should be in around the 6-yard box. I think Chuba, he works hard and he'll get in his positions, but he won't score you 20 goals a season. I think he's like more of like a working striker and you can play off him. But Britt is that someone who wants to be a bit selfish and being around the box. And if we create chances, he'll score goals. But if we don't create anything, he loses interest and looks disinterested. And quite frankly, I think Britt's at a stage in his Boro career now where this captaincy is not working. I thought it'd be a masterstroke at the start of the year. I thought, you know what, this could get the best out of Britt. Could be a good leader in the dressing room. I appreciate a good leader doesn't always have to show it on the football pitch. You can show it like in and around the training facilities or around the club that you can show he can be the leader. But I just don't think he's showing that from what I'm seeing. He looks disinterested. I would probably look to get rid of him in January if we could and try and get some money for him. And see if we can reinvest it elsewhere, because I don't think working anymore. I think we should just shake hands and get rid of it. But,
see, I slightly disagree with that, because I feel as though he's just not getting the service. We've spoke so many times about the lack of good quality service into him, and those 2 accurate crosses out of 26. Maddo was saying it on commentary about the lack of movement. To be fair, I'm not surprised that they're so static, because half of the crosses that we have, or actually the majority of the crosses that we have, they don't even get past the first man. So, to quote Isaac Hayden, what's the point in playing, ref? What is the point? So, we need to sort out this problem. We attack primarily down the wide areas because that's where our strengths are. We don't have a Gaston Ramirez. We have a Patrick Roberts on the bench, but we're not really using him. So we need to really drill the wide players. Spence, as much as we love him, he needs to stop with those step overs, because it's not really getting him anywhere. He's not taking it past the defender.
The one where he done it like 4 times and then just kind of ran straight into him. I was like, going on.
It's so, again, that that's the thing. It's like the good old George Friend cut inside. At least that worked, to be fair. But like, we are so predictable in the final third, and the fact that we've allowed a Preston side who are dismal in defence to keep a clean sheet against us is very, very worrying.
But that's what kind of worries me more, I think, when obviously we were on about Britt there, where it's like Warnock came out and said he didn't want to play them together. So why did they play together tonight? It just kind of baffled me. But I thought it had been a straight swap when I thought Chuba, or should I say Isaiah Jones, was coming on, according to my jury. So no, but,
couldn't have got it more wrong.
And to kind of link it back into Patrick Roberts and to do with Britt is, I think the only time that I can remember when Patrick Roberts started was away against Bristol City, and I thought he played really good in that game. And this is also a bit of a contradictory thing of when it almost seemed as though we weren't going to sign Patrick Roberts and there was nothing on it. And Warnock came out and said, if I sign Patrick Roberts, I need to sign 2 or 3 other players to accommodate him into the system, meaning that obviously he's not going to have sort of high work rate and kind of act as part of the sort of defensive unit when we're sort of sticking men behind the ball. And then obviously he must have changed his mind and got him in. And obviously we didn't sign that many other players really around it, and we didn't sign sort of additional fullbacks and whatnot. So yeah, I don't know why we signed him if that was the case. It's a bit of a, if we're not going to use him and got brought in the players around it. I know it was difficult because of COVID and so on, but I feel like he played well in that Bristol City game. And obviously he didn't actually score the goal or anything, but we played like a 3-5-1-1 almost in that game. If I've added that right. He played like just off the striker, and I think that allowed him the free role that he wants, where he doesn't have to do anything defensively, and you're not playing 2 as in like you're playing Britain Akpom, who he sees as being the same type of player. You're playing someone who is the main link between the midfield and striker. He is that creator then. So I think that's where the issue lies for me. I think, a bit of everything that you guys have said. If we're going to go wide, we need to improve the deliveries. If we're going to go more narrow and try and play into good stuff, then Roberts needs to be involved and play inverted wingers, and Watmore obviously needs to be involved as well.
I think
the inverted wingers would probably work, just given the stability that we have, like defensively. Normally with like a 3-5, it's. Sometimes putting 6 or 7 or 8 men behind the ball.
Yeah, whether they're inverted wingers or they're almost like how it was at that point last year, where it was Roberts and Tav kind of almost as like central attacking midfielders, where you'd see like a Bernardo Silva and Kevin De Bruyne or something for Man City, something like that. But yeah, at the moment it seems a bit like we're wanting to obviously go down this wide route and get balls into the box, but it's not working. So
it's not. It's not working, but I think if we were to like accommodate these introverted wingers, we'd probably have to move to like a 3-4-2-1 system, like a Christmas tree, looking like a Christmas tree formation. But when you have these two, just in time for Christmas, yeah. But when you have those two, obviously you can accommodate the centre forward, and then appreciate then you do have more an attacking and threat, but then you can also play with wing backs as well defensively. Yeah. So
I think obviously the reason why it is
a system that works.
Yeah, I think the reason why obviously we aren't doing it is because of the centre back issue at the moment. Haven't we? Obviously, Grant Hall out, Dijksteel out. It's kind of, I don't think he maybe trusts bringing Wood in to play week in, week out. Which I think, well, we've done the 4-3-3 now for a couple of games, and I think, kind of forget the Derby game. I think we absolutely just blew them away in that. But like, I don't think a lot of the times it's worked, because even the games where we didn't get beat, we just haven't obviously either created enough or took our chances in the games against like Brentford, for example, Blackburn, and obviously the defeat against Huddersfield and tonight. So, I'm kind of open to it, but obviously it leaves us short. Obviously, if we get another injury there, it allows McNair to ghost into that midfield, as we've said before, and have cover of 2 behind him. Obviously, when he was doing it today, there's then just Dale Fry, and obviously when Preston broke, you've seen how much space there was in behind, because obviously Bowler had pushed on, Spence had pushed on, and McNair had pushed on, and it was, we're playing a high line, and obviously got one defender there basically. So
well, Ben's mentioned something in the comments about Britt, and it's a good point, to be fair. When I think I've said it a few times before about Britt under Tony Pulis, and I know Ben's talking about Gary Monk here, but Britt scored 16 goals under Tony Pulis. I believe that was when Adama was in the team. So you see there that, you know, he got the service there. Adama was a completely unparalleled talent, you know, out of this world, you know, the best, well, not out of this world, but, you know, best in the Championship, certainly. So when you give Britt that sort of wide service, and that service in general, you know, he can score goals. It's just that at the moment we're just not, like, the wide play is so below par. It's so frustrating. And Britt is, you know, unfortunately suffering as a result from that. So it really is just trying to refine that attack in the final third. And actually, I feel like we've gone backwards in attack. There was a point this season where I thought, oh, we just need that little bit extra. But, you know, the past couple of games, I've just felt as though we've regressed. And I don't know whether it's because of the lack of options now that, you know, Dijksteel, we've had to move formation because of the lack of centre-back options. But I do feel as though we are further away now from being a more refined attacking team than we were a couple of games ago. And, yeah, it's really frustrating.
Well, it's 3 defeats in 4 now for Boro, but then also it's 1 win and 9 away from home. And we've alluded to like a couple of the things there, saying potential formation changes or personnel. Which do you think would be more beneficial for us, Dana? Do you think it would be a personnel change and bringing Robertson what more into the team, or do you think Boro should look at the system they're playing right now and say, right, this is what we're going to have to play for until January, and let's just try and get through it regardless of the form we're in?
To be fair, I feel like both. I do like us playing 3-5-2. I just think that, you know, with the three defenders, obviously we've got McNair pushing into the midfield position, so it gives us that extra body in that area. But, you know, whatever it is, they just need to find that right balance, and it's what we just can't get right now. I'm not going to say that Patrick Roberts is going to solve all of our problems, but as well as that, I'm not going to say that he isn't going to solve our problems, because he can offer us a lot. It's just that, like I mentioned a couple of podcasts ago, it's not just Roberts that we need in this team. It's, you know, if Roberts isn't on song, which, you know, can happen, we need the rest of the team to really step up. So they need to all be on a level playing field, which seems to be a massive, massive issue. And in fairness, you know, Patrick Roberts is a good player without a shadow of a doubt. I do want him in the team, but he's not a Gaston Ramirez type where you can hang your hat on him to, you know, drive us through games. So that being said, everybody as a collective, the whole team really needs to step up in that final third, because it's good and fine having Patrick Roberts on the pitch, but if you have wayward crosses hitting the first man every, you know, 10 minutes, it's not going to work.
I know, obviously, I didn't say people need to step up, but someone who's stepped up consistently over the last couple of seasons, Jonny Howson, went off tonight injured. Appreciate I haven't listened to Warney's post-match reaction yet, so he can't blame the changes tonight. But it's a big blow for Boro tonight, losing Jonny Howson. If it's a bad injury, how much of a miss do you think he might be?
Yeah, I think it'll be a big miss. I think his experience and I wouldn't say leadership, because we've just got to set the start of the season, but his kind of subtle professionalism, I think, will be missed around the team. It could also, though, be a little bit of a blessing in disguise for a potential formation change, because he's the one that sits in as a sort of defensive midfielder. It could allow us to then just say, right, okay, we're going with you know, this 3-4-1-2 and just have the two midfielders of Saville and Morsey. So we could look at it that way. But yeah, I think if it's a long injury, it'll be a big miss anyway, just because of, you know, the squad isn't blessed with great numbers anyway.
No, I'd agree. I would agree. I think you're right. You're right with the formation side of things as well. You could even look to play potentially Morsey and Tav in centre midfield as well, and have someone sit on one goal if we wanted to do that. But I don't really see that happening under Neil Warnock at all. But let's have a quick look at the comments. Jay said out. Jay said ouch with in big capitals. He obviously not happy with the result. Ruth with the little crying emoji. We've got Dean's got a couple of comments in here as well. Said, I don't know what wages Roberts is on, but if he's not going to get a run of games, I'd end the loan and look to bring someone else in from the under 21s or under 18s. Isaiah Jones has been mentioned quite a lot by Warnock, Sam Falarin as well. He's also said it's about a poor game, so bad up top. It's unreal. We need Billy Sharp on loan. That's a new one. Billy Sharp, anyone? Billy Sharp?
I mean, Billy Sharp, he's a goal scorer, but it's the
Yeah.
service that we need to improve behind the striker for me.
Yeah, definitely.
He must be like 45 now as well. Billy Sharp must be. We've been linked with him since about
Yeah, we'll take him on as like a director of football or something.
2003. You always have to get that in. Boro breakdown bingo.
I have to. But Gary Hutchinson's messages as well saying, agree it's been coming. Our problems in the final third can only be disguised for so long. Soon as the odd goal from midfield dries up, we just look like the most toothless attack in the league. And obviously Ben's comment there as well around Britt. Dean Wilson said, is there any truth in the links of Phil Jones? We don't need a stick nut. Phil Jones was obviously linked this week. Was a potential signer for January. He was also linked with Derby County as well. So you can probably connect the dots with Wayne Rooney and him going over there. So Phil Jones realistic, or do you think it's a bit of a crap rumour?
No, I don't know where that came from, to be honest. I didn't see it myself. I don't know. I don't think there's much truth in that, I would assume. Just because of wages.
I think the same. I don't think, even given our plight with centre-backs, I don't think we'd take a chance on someone else who is, injury-prone.
We already have Grant Hall in that department.
It would be great for content, though. We've got Warney and Phil Jones in the same team. Oh, my God. We'd have an absolute field there. Yeah. We would have a field there. Ben Strickland said Vidra's not getting a chance at Burnley. Can play number 10 or number 9. What is Vidra? Would you take him?
I think that's a good shout. I think because he can drop into number 10 positions, I think I've always rated Vidra. He's always seemed to do well against us as well. I think he's a decent little player. And he hasn't had much of a chance since getting into the Premier League, has he? So probably, I don't know his age, but it probably feels right for him at the Championship level.
Always linked with us as well. Always. Vidra? Yep.
I'd take Vidra, but I think the targets that I would want the most probably Balassi and Grzycki, and a little bit of creativity in behind and out wide. So I'd take Vidra. I'd have to keep an eye on that and see his appearances under Sean Dyche. But for me, the big ones for me are Balassi and Grzycki. If we can get them over the line, I would have a little bit more hope and faith in Boro going forward.
Okay, moving on. Joe Scott, can't wait for Fletcher to be back. 4 at the back. Play Akpom behind Britt. Fletcher on the left, Roberts on the right. Bob's your uncle. 7th place secured. Very, very attacking that from Joe.
If only if only it was that easy with Boro.
Well, if Bob's your uncle, it's going to happen.
I think we really do miss Fletcher though. I think his intelligence. I think and he does make a lot of forward runs, like intelligent runs. I don't know if he would have suffered from the same sort of thing that Britt and Akpom were going through, of kind of being a bit static because of the way we're playing as a team, and whether he kind of his head had dropped really when the ball's kind of launched over at the top of him again. But I think he offers us something different, and I can't wait for him to be back really, because we need another option up there.
I agree. And then finally, Mark T says, Britt needs to go. Attitude is shocking. This has been mentioned quite a lot on social media about Britt's attitude. Do we sell him, and do you think his attitude shocking?
I don't think his attitude shocking. I think he's a lazy player. He is, and I think this is. I don't think it's
how to earn 60 bags a week by doing nothing.
I think he just doesn't offer what fans would like to see. If you do a contrast to Dana's favourite player, Tunjai, he is the complete opposite. Tunjai would chase down every loose ball. He would not give up. He is, the ultimate kind of what fans love, especially not even just in the Northeast, but in England in general. Someone who will work really hard, and Britt doesn't seem to do that an awful lot. And I think obviously with him being given the captaincy this year, it kind of only compounds it, I think, because he's supposed to be the one leading by example. So I can see why people are frustrated with his style of play, but I think, as Dana mentioned earlier, if we played to his strengths, he really could be unsung. If you have a winger that can get balls to him, with much better accuracy than it is now, it'd all be forgotten because he'd be banging in goals. But I think it's a bit hard when obviously we're trying to judge him at the moment. So, yeah.
It's also on Brit as well, I think. It just came out my head really more about it, and I do like Brit, and I know this earlier said we should probably look to sell him, and I still probably agree with that to some extent, because if he's not going to sign a new contract, then we should probably try and get rid now rather than go on a free at the end of the season. But Brit needs to adapt his game just as much as we need to adapt our game to Brit. It works both ways. The best players in the world adapt the game to ensure that they become relevant in the game. Like, I know he's nowhere near this level, but Cristiano Ronaldo came out to be it was a winger. He was a left winger, dead skinny, and now he's a centre forward. He could probably play centre field. He is an all-time great, but he's just because he's adapted his game so well. But also, he needs to gamble. Like, I know our crosses aren't great, but try and get yourself in and around there. It's not like it's not difficult to try and put the effort in, be static. You can't always wait for that perfect ball. You've got to try and make and create your own luck as well. So I think it goes both ways. But I kind of agree with you both. We don't play with strengths, but he needs to put the effort in as well. But January window, do you celebrate? Yes or no?
No.
I think when it gets to January anyway, wouldn't he be liable for being able to agree like a pre-contract anyway for someone?
He can, yes.
So, I mean, if it gets to January and he hasn't agreed a new deal, he's pretty much gone, hasn't he? So,
yeah,
I would regardless.
I'd agree. One final thing, Dean says the forward we should have kept is Stuani if he was played as a centre forward in that opposition like Cranker played him. This is just a massive debate where Stuani should have played, isn't it? I agree where Stuani should have been in centre forwards, and he scored loads of goals for Girona in that performance in La Liga. But where Karanka played him was quite smart, and it was where he would run in from the back post. And always score that tap in or being around the box. It was perfect for what we needed at the time, but it just wasn't the right position. But Stuani made that position his own way. He was coming in and still scoring at right midfield. So, but see, that's what happens when you create your own luck.
Yeah,
that's what happens.
Yeah, that's what happens when you gamble.
Exactly, when you gamble, and when you don't gamble, you get nothing.
Well, I think that's the great thing about it as well. That obviously we were playing, say, 4-2-3-1. It's not that much different to a 4-3-3. I know there's someone who's dropped in that hole. But even when we're then, as I'm saying there, if we're going to be playing a more wider game and looking to get balls in the box, then going more central, then the other winger needs to get in on the other side, rather than just Brit or Akpom if they're there. Because when it looks as though we're crossing in from one side, Johnson's nowhere to be seen. Or for crossing in from Johnson's side, Spence or whoever's playing on the right is nowhere to be seen either. So if there's only going to be one person in the box, they're already outnumbered there anyway because there's two centre-backs, so it's pointless.
But that's pretty much it, guys. One final question. Let's look ahead to Saturday against Millwall. Let's have your predictions. Let's not break them down. I don't want to throw that on you after tonight's defeat anyway. But let's have your predictions. Are we feeling a bit more optimistic for Saturday?
Well, they're in a really bad run at the moment, so probably 2-0 Millwall. No, I'm going to reverse the scoreline. I'm feeling I'm feeling optimistic. I'm going to go 2-0 Boro.
2-0 for Dana. Els, what are you going to go for?
Yeah, I don't want to get too disheartened. I think I was saying it before we came on air that I know it's 2 defeats on a bounce, obviously first time this season. And I'm kind of thinking about this time of year now is, we're starting to show inconsistencies. And I think it was probably always going to be the case around Christmas. I know it's vastly different last year because our best point was over Christmas. But I think obviously we were always going to regress at some point from that sort of 10-game run. And I think now obviously trying to play Warnock's system with that sort of man-to-man marking and sort of defensive solidity is hard when you're playing sort of Wednesday, Saturday every week. I think in the new year, when we go back to Saturday every week and we have a full week to prep for every game, I think we'll be so solid again. And we'll put another decent run together. So I don't kind of want to say we're going to fully kind of tail off now, but I don't think we'll have a great run. I think we just need to try and pick up as many points as possible, obviously, but I don't think there's going to be some great performances in the next couple of weeks. I hope they prove me wrong and
this form continue.
But yeah, so I'm going slightly optimistic. I was feeling a draw, but I'm going to go with another 1-0 win to Boro. I feel like Warnock will absolutely scare them for that performance, and we'll come out and turn things around.
Ronan Keaton would say, you said it best and you said nothing at all. And I feel like Warnock should say nothing tonight to that team. I feel like he should just get back on the bus and see it tomorrow morning and get him on a big
post on Instagram saying how disappointing it was with his headphones in, a bit like Mourinho. We'll get the message.
Warney on the gram. See that? See, we could do that.
That would be 2020.
It would be. It would be the best thing. But you said 1-0 win, Els. Dana, what did you go for again? My mind just went
2-0 Boro.
2-0 Boro as well. Oh, Dean's went 2-0 Millwall. If you've got a score prediction, just chuck them in the comments real quick. But I'm gonna say, it's a tough one.
None of us have had any in the past couple of weeks. Our score predictions. I don't think about the last 4 games any of us have got anywhere near.
Came close, have we? Yeah. I think looking back to the COVID season and a little mini, and we played really well at Millwall, and their system suited us quite a lot, and they were bang out of form as well then. I think I would probably go for I think I'm going to go for a win. I think we probably need it. It'll show our inconsistencies as well. I want to go a 1-0 win, I think. I'd take a scrappy 1-0 win. If it goes off Brit's backside or anything like that, I don't care, as long as we get the 3 points. But I'm going to say 1-0, but I'll be very, very open to a 1-1 draw, given our performance tonight. But in the comments, Ruth says 1-1, and Fahim says 1-0, and Neymar to be the goal scorer. But that's it, guys. Thank you very much for joining me tonight, and thank you very much if you listen to us and watching us on the live stream or on the podcast apps as well. We really do appreciate you tuning into the pods as well. Yeah, that's it. Middlesbrough lose 3-0 at Deepdale. The form is terrible. Warney's going mental. But this has been the Boro Breakdown podcast, and that was all your match day chatter in a pod.